So good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday service. I'm going to just begin with the ringing of the Kanshou bell. Once again, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me all okay? Yes? Okay, good. Welcome to our January 30th Sunday regular service. And I'd like to begin this morning's service with a moment of silent meditation, followed by the recitation of the name of the Buddha or the Nimbutsu. Nomandobs, 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 nomandobs. Next, we will be reading together the our pledge, and I'm just going to bring it up on the screen. You can see that okay on your screen, can you not? I hope so. So we'll read together our pledge. Our pledge. Breaking out of my shell, I shall carefully share a warm smile and speak gentle words, just like the kind Buddha. Not becoming lost in my greed, anger, and ignorance, I shall be open-minded and act accordingly, just like the calm and peaceful Buddha. Not putting myself first, I shall share in the joy and sadness of others, just like the compassionate Buddha. Realizing the gift of life we have received, I shall live each day to its fullest, like the Buddha who continues to emancipate all. For those of you who are not familiar or may not have heard before, this pledge was written by our Gomonshu, President Gomonshu-sama. He's the head of our Jodo Shinshu organization, and he was trying to find, or he created this pledge as a modern day version of, we have what we call a Jodo Shinshu pledge, and he sort of revamped it to adapt to the times that we're in. And I think if you look at the words, really beautiful words to this, right? Breaking out of my shell, I shall carefully share a warm smile and speak gentle words, just like the kind Buddha. Not becoming lost in my greed, anger, and ignorance, I shall be open-minded and act accordingly, just like the calm and peaceful Buddha. Not putting myself first, I shall share in the joy and sadness of others, just like the compassionate Buddha. And finally, realizing the gift of life we have received, I shall live each day to its fullest, like the Buddha who continues to emancipate all. Really, truly words that I think that, that can inspire us in our daily lives. And I'll talk a little bit more about this later during my, my Dharma talk, but we'll continue on now with the Suture Chanting. And this morning we're going to chant the Junirai together. We'll be chanting the English, and then following that, we'll be chanting the Japanese, and following that, the English translation. Namandops, 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 namandops. Kesheteni shogugyo Amida senryo zokuson Zai mi mewanako Muryo bushi shuine Konjiki shinjo nyosen no Shamata gyo nyozobu Ryomokujo nyaku shorenge Koga chorai midason Menzen jonyomangas Igoyen yosen nijigas Shonyo tenku kushira Koga chorai midason Kanon chodai kanchi uji Shuje me so shogon Nobuku gedo makeuma Koga chorai minason Mubi mugu go shoujo Shutoku gezu nyogoku Shosari yaku toku jizai Koga chorai minason Jimmo 妙門菩薩衆無量小魔女さな一生衆上願力自我が将来皆尊根体保険知証下前言症状目うない座おひざ上如線の子が将来皆尊自も将来勝負し権限人図しやな戦後尊厳上業子が将来皆尊小無常無我と略女水月年世論一種世法無名字子が将来皆尊非尊部せず無悪名薬無如に悪の不主任死心拒否尊子が将来皆尊一尊無量勉強無所主悪知識往生不退死亡大子が将来皆尊がせず非尊具独自修善無変如海水小逆前後小上者世主上小非語ナマナブナマナムナマナムナマナムナマナムナマナムがにしぐのぐ平等性際のずもないしおうじょあ man nobs, no man nobs, no man nobs, no man nobs, no man nobs. Next, we will be reading the English translation, which you'll see on your screen there. The 12 Adorations, Junirai translation. Before Amida Buddha, whom heavenly beings worship, I humble myself in deepest reverence. In his wondrous land of bliss, surrounded is he by countless bodhisattvas. His golden form shines forth pure like the king of Mount Sumeru. His practice of truth is steadfast like an elephant's pace. His eyes radiate like pure blue lotus blossoms. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. His countenance is perfectly pure and round like the full moon. His majestic light shines like 1,000 suns and moons. His voice is like a heavenly drum, yet like a heavenly bird kokila. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. Avalokiteshvara wears upon his crown the image of Amida adorned with many precious jewels. He subdues the arrogance of demons and heretics. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. Incomparable, vast, and pure his virtues are, clearly extending like vast open space, his acts freely benefiting all. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. Bodhisattvas from the 10 quarters and countless maras, demons, always venerate him. He dwells with vow power for the sake of all beings. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. In the golden treasure pond where the lotus flowers bloom, established with goodness is a wondrous throne, where reigns the Buddha like the king of the mounts. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. From the 10 quarters, bodhisattvas come. Revealing wondrous powers, they attain blissful state. Honoring his face, they offer eternal homage. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. All things are transient and without self. Like the moon on water, lightning, shadow, or the dew, the Dharma cannot be expressed by words, the Buddha proclaimed. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. No words of evil are in his land, no fear of evildoers, nor evil paths. With sincere heart, all beings worship him. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. His land of infinite expediencies is without degenerate things or wicked beings. Upon rebirth, non-retrogressive bodhi does one attain. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. Thus have I praised the virtues of Amida Buddha. Boundless are they like the water of the sea. Upon receiving these pure and good qualities, may all beings be reborn into his land. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Okay. Once again, welcome and thank you for joining us for this regular Sunday service. I'm going to begin my talk by reading a passage out of a book. It's not our usual Jodo Shinshu Seiten that I'm reading a passage from. It's actually a book on Thich Nhat Hanh, and it's called Peace is Every Step. And in there, there's a very short poem that he, it's not even a poem, he calls it an exercise. And I'm just going to read this passage. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling in the present moment, I know this is a wonderful moment. Okay. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. dwelling in the present moment, I know this is a wonderful moment. As many of you have heard, recently we lost, in fact, one of the great Buddhists in this world in the passing of Thich Nhat Hanh. I thank Durgesh, who notified us when Thich Nhat Hanh did pass away. Durgesh sent out an email to many of us saying that he just passed away. And last year, we had the opportunity to go over, I think it was last year, or was it 2 years ago? It may have been a course of 2 years ago and last year. But we went over the book, The Heart of the Buddha's Teaching, which was written by Thich Nhat Hanh. And in it, of course, there were very, very in-depth and eloquent writings on some of the very basic tenets of the historical Buddha. But since his passing, I've been trying to read some of Thich Nhat Hanh's works, and this other book, which is a very simple book, Peace is Every Step, A Path of Mindfulness in Everyday Life. That's what that looks like. A very, very simple book. But in it, what I found quite amazing was that this book, unlike the other book, The Heart of the Buddha's Teachings, he rarely talks about the Buddha. Like, he doesn't say, the Buddha said this, or the Buddha said that. He just talks about daily life and mindfulness. And that passage that I read to you is an example of that, right? He doesn't say the Dharma says this. He's just basically says, breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling in the present moment, I know this is a wonderful moment, right? And when I think about this, right now, there is so much anger and suffering going on throughout the world. I watch the news every morning, and I see, even here in Canada, the protests that are going on in Ottawa, and throughout the country for that matter. And you see these people, these protesters, as they are shown on TV, and they all have very tense looking faces as they grimace. And of course, Thich Nhat Hanh says, we have to calm down. We have to breathe. Just breathe. And as we breathe, we calm down. And then as we breathe, we smile. And he mentions about the fact that in a single smile, it relaxes so many muscles of our face. And in fact, it makes us feel much calmer as we smile. When you think about it, it's true. If we grimace, we get really tense. We can feel it in our shoulders. We can feel it throughout our body. But as we breathe and calm down and smile, we feel peace. And yet at the same time, Thich Nhat Hanh says, dwelling in the moment, realizing that this moment is truly a wonderful moment. And I realized when he wrote this, the reason why he doesn't go into saying, the Buddha said this or the Buddha said that, is that he was dwelling in the Dharma. When we dwell in the Dharma, we don't have to quote somebody else. We realize it is here in this moment. And when we begin to see that, as Thich Nhat Hanh mentions, peace does not come from an external force. Peace comes from within. When we have a settled heart, when we have a settled mind, we begin to calm down and we begin to have peace. When I look into my own life, I know that when I'm busy and I am running around, I have a tendency to get tense and easily upset. But it's then that I have to calm down and breathe. And just in this act of breathing brings me some peace. When I think of Thich Nhat Hanh's life, though, it's quite amazing that he's able to say this. It's just giving you a very brief synopsis of Thich Nhat Hanh's life. He was born actually in 1926 in Vietnam, and he became a Buddhist monk at a very young age of 16. And from there, he studied both in Vietnam but abroad. And he was one of the first Vietnamese Buddhist monks that actually studied something other than Buddhism at a university. But he was very, very prominent in the movement of peace when the Vietnam War broke out. And when you think of the turmoil, the villages that were burned, the lives that were lost in Vietnam, Thich Nhat Hanh indeed endured great suffering. Because of his urging of peace, both to South and North Vietnam, he was actually exiled from his own country for many years. And yet, he promoted peace. And yet, he promoted harmony, amongst others. And it was in his exile that he started a monastery in France. And it became one of the most prominent monasteries throughout the world, called Plum Village in France. And of course, he has gone on to give talks worldwide. And it's funny how this simple monk who gave up his worldly possessions, yet gained so much love and compassion from the world just by breathing and showing us the way to receive peace. And so as we gather here for this service, I realize these Sunday mornings are an opportunity for us to breathe, for us to receive some of this peace. As we gather together, we take in the words of the Buddha. As we gather together, we take in the company of one another. And as we share in this moment together, we receive the act of peace. As I mentioned in our opening passage, our pledge, our Gomonshu also shared this in these words. Breaking out of my shell, I shall carefully share a warm smile and speak gentle words, just like the kind Buddha. Not becoming lost in my greed, anger, and ignorance, I shall be open-minded and act accordingly, just like the calm and peaceful Buddha. Not putting myself first, I shall share in the joy and sadness of others, just like the compassionate Buddha. Realizing the gift of life we have received, I shall live each day to its fullest, like the Buddha who continues to emancipate all. Truly, these words reflect the words of Thich Nhat Hanh when he says, dwelling in the present moment, I know this is a wonderful moment. Sharing in this moment with all of you during this service, I know that this moment is a wonderful moment. So I thank all of you for taking time out on Sunday mornings. Many of you are here weekly, and it's wonderful to have you sharing in this moment with us in this moment of peace and calmness. If nothing else, it's a great way to start the day with calm, peace, and a smile. So I thank you all, and I'd like to close my talk with the recitation of the Nimbutsu. So please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo. Thank you. Just so this will conclude the service, and if you wish to, you can unmute yourself. And
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
much.
Thank you, everyone.
Sensei.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Sensei.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Goodbye, everybody.
bye.
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 Start the week, Grant. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, Auntie Misai.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How
Dad,
are
your hair
things in
looks
the States?
fine.
Why are you laughing?
That's like always a complicated question, I think, for a Canadian living in the United States. But it's a sunny day. It's a sunny day in Denver, so it's a good day.
Enjoying the sun.
I will.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Les.
Sign off then. Say goodbye.